Welcome back everyone, Mariah 𝘱𝘻𝘊𝘺 here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a few things. We're going to first start with the current interest rate hike and how that is currently affecting Bitcoin. Then we're going to move into VAULD and how I am currently using VAULD to grow my cryptocurrency portfolio. And then last but not least, we are going to be doing a Bitcoin price review. So obviously we heard this afternoon that the Feds raised the interest rate by 50 basis points. So what does this mean exactly? When they start to increase the rates, basically, that is because they are trying to slow down inflation. And so when COVID first started, obviously, we saw interest rates go to zero. And the reason for that is because the Fed wanted to make it easier for businesses to borrow money to grow their businesses. And that's what we have basically seen happen over the last 2 years. So now that inflation has gotten way too high, they're trying to control that by now increasing the interest rate at a pretty rapid pace, so that basically it's harder for businesses to expand, grow their businesses, and in return, basically people will just feel like they don't have as much spending money, they will spend less, and hopefully that will bring down the prices, or at least that is what the Fed is hoping for. So the FOMC meets about every 6 weeks. So that's when we are seeing the interest rates increasing, this whole every 6 week period after they meet. And so we know that the last meeting, the interest rate increase was 25 basis points. We've now seen 50 basis points. And we have been told that it is not out of the question to eventually get to 75 basis points. So how will this affect the price of Bitcoin? Well, in the short term, we're seeing a pretty positive response when it comes to Bitcoin as well as traditional markets. But just to give you some perspective, when interest rates were pretty low, we know that Michael Saylor took out a pretty big loan to buy Bitcoin. So he used a loan against its Bitcoin holdings for the first time to purchase $190 million more of Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor's total count of Bitcoin is nearly 130,000. So how is this going to affect you? So let's say that you're someone that's interested in purchasing a home, that's obviously going to affect interest rates. And if you're someone that has a credit card, then that's obviously going to probably affect the APY on your credit card. So here's how you can kind of put things into perspective. For every 0.25 of an increase, it equates to an extra $25 a year in interest for $10,000 in debt. So a 50 basis point increase will translate to an extra $50 of interest for every $10,000 in debt. It is not out of the question that the Fed will continue raising interest rates. That will then put the rate at about 2%, which then would be $200 for every $10,000 in debt. So are these the beginning signs that the real estate market is going to cool off a bit? Personally, I am getting that sense across the board. We really haven't been seeing the continued rise in price. Things have started to kind of flat out a bit. And in my opinion, that is a pretty good indication that the top could be in when it comes to real estate. To also put things into perspective for you, the last time the Fed increased interest rates by 50 basis points was back in the year 2000. So it has been over 2 decades since that sort of an increase. So what has all of this taught us? This has taught us that the next time we're in a situation where interest rates go to zero, we can anticipate over the next 1 to 2 years massive inflation. So what I like to do is anytime that I basically make observations when it comes to the economy and how prices are affected, how inflation is affected, how stocks are affected, I like to kind of just keep a running notepad of all the things that I notice. And it's kind of nice to revisit those over time, but it's things that you probably write down in there that won't come again for 2, 3, 4 decades. So it's kind of nice to have things that are currently happening noted so that you can come back one day, maybe in the future, to make decisions based on what history has shown us. So one way that I am personally beating inflation is by earning interest on VAULD. So if you know, when it comes to lending platforms, many of them have stopped US customers from signing up. So with VAULD, you can still earn interest on new deposits. So if that's something that you're interested, make sure to take advantage as soon as possible. I have a link down below if you want to get started with VAULD today. So I have been using VAULD since January, and you can see here that I have earned interest of just under $1,800. And another way that I've actually made an income from VAULD is by sharing my experience with others. So you can see here that I have earned over $2,000 in referrals. And so VAULD pays me nearly daily, and the referral system is a little bit different compared to other platforms. So anytime someone is trading, I get 40% of that, and then 5%. So if you are having a positive experience with VAULD, you should absolutely consider sharing it with your friends. So VAULD also makes a lot of sense when you use it as a trading platform. So you can see here the maker and the taker fee is 0.1%, and there's also a minimum trading amount and a minimum price movement, so you can get all that information here. What's really great about VAULD is that even though I have funds locked up under fixed deposits, I can actually take those off at any time. So even though I have committed to the 30 days, I am basically able to opt out at any time and use those funds to trade any crypto assets. So VAULD has some of the best rates, especially when it comes to Ethereum and stable coins. I have quite a bit on my platform. I'm currently earning 6.7% interest on Ethereum and 12.68% interest on USDC. So once you deposit funds into your VAULD account, you're gonna wanna make sure to create a fixed deposit if you want to maximize your earning. VAULD has been such a positive experience thus far. You can see all of the different assets here that you can deposit and start earning interest on, as well as trade. So like I said, I have a link down below if you want to get started with VAULD today. If you have new crypto assets that you want to earn interest on, but you're not able to deposit them in other accounts, VAULD is still a great option for you. So last but not least, let's go ahead and do a quick Bitcoin price review here. Bitcoin is sitting just under $40,000. The weekly chart really hasn't changed much. The charts looked really bad yesterday. They're still, they're still looking pretty bad today, but not as bad, obviously, as they were yesterday. So this is today's candle on the daily chart. I would like to see it make a higher high and go above the high of this candle, which is 40,400. But we're going to see a lot of resistance for Bitcoin at the $41,000 range. So keep a very close eye there. We are likely to get rejected, and that's because of this moving average right here. You saw it on the daily chart, and now you're seeing it here on the 12-hour chart. That is probably going to be a tough place for Bitcoin to break above. But if we can get above the high on this candle, which is also the 40,400, so that would be basically what I would anticipate is if we break above 40,400, we'll probably break pretty quickly to 41,000, but it's also very likely that Bitcoin gets rejected in that range. So the 4-hour chart is good because it has made a higher high, a significant higher high. But once again, over here in this $41,000 range where this moving average is, expect to see Bitcoin struggle to get above that. So there's still 3 hours left here on this 4-hour candle. So we're gonna take a look at the 1-hour chart here, Bitcoin making a higher high, and the 1-hour chart obviously looks really, really good. Let's take a look here at the 30-minute chart. 30-minute chart is also looking great. So traditional markets closed just about 30 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and take a look here and see where SPY ended up. So SPY had a great day, and you can see here this monster candle that basically came after the announcement. So on the 1-hour chart, SPY has made a higher high. Let's take a look at the daily chart here. The daily chart still has a ways to go, but I would love to see this green moving average crossing over the red. That would be a sign of some further hope. So when it comes to the cryptocurrency space, it's green across the board. I mean, I have not one single red asset here on my watch list. So anywhere from a few percentages up to 26% on waves. NEO up 10%. We have LTC at 7.23%. Coinbase stock is sitting at $130, and the low of a couple days ago came in at 111. So a nice pop here And just a lot more confirmation needs to be made before we basically want to call Bitcoin being in a bullish position. So that's all that I have for you today. Like I said, if you want to get started with VAULD, that link is down below. That is all that I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.